Greetings everyone, welcome back to Cinema Prescriptions, where we dive deep into a film and prescribe you all that you need to enjoy the film. I am your host, Mr. Dr. Rice, and today we will be going over Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire. Let's get to it. So the director of Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire is actually my favorite director, Zack Snyder. He's directed films such as Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, and Army of the Dead. I've seen every single one of this man's movies. He's like, his films just speak to me. I just love how epic all his movies look. They look just like they're taken from like paintings or something, or just straight off the pages of comic books. He just has a very great visual presence to his films. Also, I like the tones that he takes. He takes on more darker tones, such as like, I believe like he was one of the first ones to do like dark superhero movies, which is The Watchmen. I think that's like his first movie I saw, or it was either Watchmen or 300. So I mean, I just love everything I see from him, and I can't wait to see what he does with this film. He's used to dealing with huge casts, so let's see how this film is. The synopsis for this film is: when a colony on the edge of the galaxy finds itself threatened by the armies of the tyrannical Regent Valerius, they dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from neighboring planets to help them take a stand. So I feel like that's a pretty good synopsis of the film. It sets up it to be like a film kind of like the Suicide Squad, where you're trying to put a team together to fight a greater evil. So good comparison films for this one is The Seven Samurai and also Star Wars. This is literally what Zack Snyder wanted the film to be like. I mean, the story is literally follows like The Seven Samurai, and outside forces coming to invade a town, and it's up to the protagonist to assemble a team of skilled people to fight this coming invasion, and that's what the vibe is from Rebel Moon. And to say this is heavily inspired by Star Wars, Zack Snyder did shop this film to Disney first, but they didn't want to go forward with it, so he eventually pitched it to Netflix, and then they want to make a series out of it now. So those are the two comparison films I would say that it's like. It's definitely like The New Hope, because it kind of opens with the protagonist like in the middle of nowhere, and that kind of reminds me of A New Hope, Luke Skywalker, and even The Force Awakens with Rey, how it opens up with her in the desert also. So this definitely mirrors Star Wars, in my opinion. So the budget for this film was $83 million. That's from an overall budget of $166 million for Zack Snyder to do Part 1 and Part 2. Do I feel like the film utilized its budget? I do. I feel like it was a good looking film. Like, the visuals were outstanding. You know, this is a space opera type film, very visual heavy, and also it's going to be a lot of prosthetic makeup and stuff like that in the film. Also, it has an ensemble cast. So you have Sofia Boutella, you have Djimon Hounsou, you have Charlie Hunnam. There's a lot of well-known Hollywood actors in the film. Also, the film was scored by Junkie XL, who previously did work with Zack Snyder on Zack Snyder's Justice League, Army of the Dead, and also Batman vs. Superman alongside Hans Zimmer. He's probably the biggest film scorer out there. So I definitely feel like it utilizes budget really well. What makes this film easy to love? Definitely the visuals. I mean, it opens with that beautiful shot of the planet in the background, and the protagonist Cora farming or whatever she was doing in the desert. That was an awesome shot. That goes to show you what Zack Snyder can do as a filmmaker. I always loved how his films look. This one definitely, like, from the looks of the backgrounds to the different kind of creatures and stuff like that. And Nemesis, her fire sword type things, they look pretty awesome. So I mean, this is a very good looking film. I always like films that use like very vivid colors, and it always looks good when it's like a darker background. So that always looks great to me. And the action was great in this film. Definitely, like, Zack Snyder loves his slow-mo. Like, the shootouts were great. You get up close and personal with the close-ups. You can definitely see the violence in this film. The violence is going to increase because eventually they're going to release a rated R version of this film, and that's like what Zack Snyder really wanted to do. But the action's great. And I love the world building. I love, like, the things that are being set up. So it has a lot of promises to this film that for things to come, and I think they did that really well in the film also. What makes this hard to love? I would say the characters seem to all have the same personality. I would have loved to see more variety. Everybody just seems like they're just tough guys, and there's no eccentric characters or anything like that. It seems that all the characters were just people who shoot, besides Nemesis. I mean, I guess there was the guy that jumped onto the huge eagle, but I mean, besides him and Nemesis, those are the only like big differences between the characters. The film is about gathering warriors from different planets. I would have liked to see a group assembled with a variety of abilities rather than most of them having the same ability. I also feel that the film suffers a little from Dark Universe syndrome, like they're trying to launch a franchise, so the film seems preoccupied with setting up a film that if it gets to be a whole film in itself. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to try to set up future films / a new universe, but I feel like there's a better way to tell the story. I suppose that it does have to do with this film being 2 parts. From what I've read, Zack Snyder just wanted one long film, but Netflix likes to have their films at like 2 hours and 26 minutes because that is how long their viewers typically watch films. That's why you have a rated R director's cut coming out eventually, so hopefully that alleviates this. Also, I felt like Hora was a very flat character. She's just like every other tough female character that has come out recently, like Captain Marvel. They all just like talk tough. They're just devoid of emotions and stuff like that. I just feel like there's different ways to show women as strong than just having them be just tough people. I just want to see more dynamic character development. But I mean, like I said, this is just the first part of a 2-part film. Hopefully, the things that I'm saying are alleviated in the next film. So my prescription to you for what makes this film easy to love is the visuals are great, the action is outstanding, and I like the world building in this film. What can make it hard to love is the characters seem to be the same. The film suffers a little bit from trying to set itself up for the next film, and finally the main character Cora is kind of flat. So what do you think about this? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.